Good morning. Happy Monday morning. Excited to be with you this morning. And I thought what I would do today, just for fun, is give you guys a race update and a race report from the Ironman, just because that was a big deal in my life. And I would like to share it with you. And as most of you already know, that I did an Ironman and on Saturday. And this was actually a half Ironman, which is 70.3 miles. It's a 1.1 or 1.2 swim, 56-mile bike ride, and 13-mile run. So, it was a great event, had a lot of fun, and I just wanted to take a few minutes and go through the event and give you guys a race report because I think it's fun and it's interesting and pretty exciting. So this one was in Oceanside, California, and being in Oceanside, of course, we didn't fly out there, we drove. It's about a 6-hour drive from Phoenix to Oceanside. And we had to go Thursday night because we had to get checked in on Friday morning. And we get there about midnight on Thursday. Friday, wake up and get a bunch of work done. And we checked in around noon on Friday. And the cool thing is about it is my son that's 20 years old has been watching me do these for 10 plus years as a kid. And now he's graduated to the endurance ranks and now did his first Ironman with me, which is super exciting. I was just amazing to have him there and to see him accomplish that. Him and I have been training the last several months together. Every morning he's out riding his bike or running with me. And so pretty cool. So we get signed in on Friday and just work more, hang out with the family, and try to go to bed as early as possible Friday to get a good night's sleep. So as we, go to bed Friday, the first thing that happens is you wake up Saturday morning and it's kind of I took a bunch of videos, and so I'll release a video later also of kind of all the events. But you wake up Saturday morning, and the first thing that goes through my head, like Ironman day, I woke up at 4:45 a.m. and the first thing that went through my head is like, why the crap am I doing this? It's just like one of those things like, oh man. So you're not too excited personally when I wake up to get an Ironman done. But we ended up, waking up and meeting my father-in-law and friends in the lobby of the hotel and walking to the starting line, which is about a half hour away. We're staying at the Oceanside Pier, and the starting line was down in the port, like the area where the boats are. And so we walked down there, and we're about an hour early, and you just prepare and set up everything as far as like buy your bike. I dropped off the bike the day previous, and this is like a transition area. So you're setting up your running shoes, because basically you start and you're in a wetsuit, and then you come and you have to take the wetsuit off, and you've got to put on your biking shoes and helmet. You're actually wearing your biking gear under your wetsuit. So you end up, taking the wetsuit off, putting your biking shoes on and helmet and taking off. So this is kind of like the transition area. So we're hanging out. You kind of get warmed up and stretch a little bit and just hang out with friends and just kind of really just like take in the moment, because for the next 6-7 hours, it's going to be like you're going to have a heart rate of very, very high, depending on who you are. As a racer, it could be anywhere from 120 to 180 for the next 6-7 hours. And so basically, we're hanging out that morning, and luckily the water wasn't too cold. I think it was around 59, 60 degrees. I've done some Ironmans where it's like 55 degrees, 54 degrees, 52 degrees. So I actually didn't even feel like the coldness of the water when I jumped in. So we get together, take a picture. So I'm doing it with my father-in-law, my son, my best friend Jeff Kirk, Noah, his son, which is really, really cool because he's a senior and he's just barely turning 18. So it's cool to have a best friend there, and his son Noah with me and my son Ethan, and then another best buddy, Jaron Fishpeck, was there. And there's a lot of people. There's also just a random friend from high school. Ben Robbins was there, which is just I ended up seeing him collecting the bike, which is pretty cool. So another friend of ours, Marshall Duncan. It was awesome. It was cool just to be around everyone, and like I said, taking the moment before. So when you hop in the swim, there's 4,000 racers at this Ironman, and 5 racers go every 5 seconds. And so we all kind of line up together, and they have this basically this gate, and every 5 seconds you hear this beep. And so we all try to kind of line up together as soon as we can, and we hear the beep and we take off, and we're swimming. So keep in mind, I have been training with my son Ethan for like the last 4 or 5 months getting ready for this Ironman. And so I thought, for whatever reason in my own little small brain and head, I thought that, I would be able to keep up with him and probably hang out with him all day. Well, he was a little fish as a kid, a swimmer. I didn't learn how to swim until I started doing Ironmans like 15 years ago. And so we get in the water, and he just takes off, to which would be to me a sprint. And at that moment, I realized I'm probably not going to see him the rest of the day or race with him. And I was fine with it. He's 24 years younger. He needed to take off and go. And that's totally fine. So he takes off and starts swimming, and he's going to me, which would be 100 miles an hour. And then all of a sudden, I see my friend Jeff, and he's just kind of, his head's bobbing up and down in the water. And, we're swimming in this little, in the marina of Oceanside, because typically it's a beach start, but it was a little bit of weather and the waves, and so we swim in the marina, out a half mile basically and back a half mile. And it was kind of interesting because Jeff, he tried to take off with these younger kids, Noah and Marshall and Ethan, and so he started basically sprinting with them, and he was gassed, he was out of breath. So I'm like, hey Jeff, just relax. Go at your own pace, swim with me. And so he starts swimming with me, takes a couple strokes, and then I look at him again, he's just kind of gassed, and I'm like, hey, you're going fast again, because he started to go fast again. I'm like, just go slow, enjoy it. So what happens is eventually we kind of swim together, and then I lost him. There's a couple thousand people in the water. I don't see him. I just do my swim. I kind of enjoy it. The buoys weren't marked very good. Like, they're usually marked a lot better. Like, you swim buoy to buoy to buoy, you kind of look up. But even like with the surf, and it was hard to see him. Going out was fine. Turning and coming back, the sun's in your eyes, and people were like swimming the opposite direction. And I knew that we were kind of like going to swim around, and like there's these rocks, and I knew had to follow that curve and that contour back to the boat dock in that marina. So I just kind of did my best to stay as close as I could to those buoys, just to follow that shape back. So, I get out of the water. I didn't have my best swim. I just, for whatever reason, I just didn't push myself. Big, hard. I knew the guys were already gone, so I didn't have anything to keep up with. So I get out. When you get out, you're a little bit disoriented. If you don't like swim a lot, it's like you're a little dizzy and lightheaded, and you have to run, which feels like to me like a quarter to a half mile to get to your bike. And you're running barefoot, and you're taking off your goggles and taking off what you can as far as your wetsuit top. And so I get to my bike, take wetsuit off, and I'm gathering myself to get the rest of my biking gear on. So, and I see my wife and Jeff Kirk's wife, Ellie, and Ethan's girlfriend, Brooklyn, who also went with us, which was awesome to have her there. I see them like 20 yards away at the fence, and all the other bikes are gone. Jaren's bike's gone, my father-in-law's bike's gone, Ethan, Marshall, Noah, they're gone. The only bikes left is my bike and Jeff Kirk's bike. And I knew Jeff couldn't be too far behind me. We're about the same type of swimmer. So I waited just a few minutes. It felt like 3 or 4 minutes, and he came, and we hop on the bike, and it's kind of fun getting out of the water and hop on the bike. You're like kind of excited. You got 3 fun hours ahead of you. Well, in Oceanside, you ride, basically you don't see anyone on the whole bike except for the start and finish, because you head out all the way up to Trussell's and then through Camp Pendleton, and you're gone. You're gone, like out in Camp Pendleton inland, and you climb these 3 huge hills. At least 1 or 2 people are walking their bikes up these hills. But let me back up. For the first couple of miles, Jeff and I were sticking and for whatever reason, Jeff ended up, I probably swerved in front of him or whatever. You're a little wiggly getting out of the water. His back wheel hits my back wheel. And, for a split second, I thought, maybe I could go down and fall off my bike and wreck. But he corrects himself. And the way that I looked left after he hit my wheel, and he's trying to save himself from crashing, because typically if you hit someone from behind, the person behind is going down and the front person has the momentum and they can go. And so basically what happens is he goes like bracing himself to go down, and he jets across this median. Luckily there was no curve, because he would have went over the curve. It was just street to median of like 30 yards of just like grass and rocks, and he's embracing himself, trying to stop on this grass or rocks. And it was kind of interesting because, sorry, I got to text this person back. Can't miss an opportunity of buying a house while we're having too much fun here. So he ends up on the other side of the road, because the road's like looping around, and there's this like grassland. And luckily he didn't crash, and I'm like, oh, for sure he's going to get tons of flats. If that happened like in the same setting in Arizona, there'd be 50 thorns in your tires. So for whatever reason, there was no thorns in this. He didn't crash. He corrected himself. And then we hop back on the road, and we're going, and things are good. And, it's kind of interesting because, Jeff and I last year, we stuck together the whole race. It was Jeff's first Ironman. And for whatever reason, I was kind of feeling good at the beginning, and I kind of took off. But I was probably only 5 or 10 minutes ahead of Jeff the whole time. I probably just should have stuck the bike right out with him. But I still kind of had small hopes that I could catch up to those boys in my head if I just took off. But I'm not like in the best biking shape. I've been in better biking shape. So I take off and have a decent day. The road is horrible. The road gets worse and worse for the Oceanside Ironman. They need to do a lot of repairs. I didn't see any like bad crashes, but there's a lot of people almost crashing in like the big, potholes and cracks and anyway. So we're off. I have a decent bike. I feel good. I'm eating. I'm drinking. Having a good time. Trying to talk and mess with people around me, and I start to. Climb the hills. There's 3 big hills, like I said, two or three other smaller hills, but there's 3 like significant big hills where you are going up them and barely left. You're barely climbing. So they're big hills. So mile 40, there's this aid station, and I'm kind of slowing down. And everyone's supposed to slow down and like really watch out for each other, because there's bikes going in and out. And I'm slowing down, just trying to be cautious. And actually, let me back up. About 10 minutes before, I see this gentleman riding his bike, and the way he is like arrow position, he's like feels like he's laying on top of his bike, and he's riding it like Superman, like way up, and he's all over the road. I'm like, it's gonna be hard to get around him. He's swerving everywhere. So I get around him. Okay, so he's in my mind, because it was hard to get around him, and for a few other things, he's laying straight on his bike. Back to aid station 40 on the bike. I'm cruising through, slowing down. All of a sudden, whack! My back wheel gets hit and knocked out from underneath me, and I'm on the ground. I'm bleeding on my hand, my elbow, my hip, my shoulder, and I'm on the ground saying, oh crap, I hope my day's not over. Hope my shoulder's not out of its socket and my knee's not messed up and my bike's mechanically good. So all these things are like going through my mind 100 miles an hour. I'm on the ground, and you know what? It's the first time I've ever wrecked on my bike, knock on wood. And someone took me out. Well, I look back, and this gentleman's kind of like, I was clipped out at that point. My shoes were detached from my bike, and I'm getting up off my bike. And this guy was still kind of half on my back wheel, and then I kind of get my bike out, and he's still under his bike because he's clipped in. So I kind of like set my bike down and help him up, and he gives me a hug and basically says sorry. And I'm just checking my bike, like praying, I hope my day's not over. And just a little, I was just kind of like silently, not angry or mad, but just silently like surprised. I didn't even say anything. I was just like, didn't even say anything. Just like, this stinks. Like when I was going down, and kind of give him a hug, and I was gathering myself. This really nice volunteer was washing some of the blood off, and anyway, so I get cleaned up, gather myself. Only took a few minutes. My chain was off, so I had to put my chain on, and I got my bike, and it was off again. So I'm like, crap, hope everything's good. So I put it back on. My back brake was like lodged against my wheel, so I had to like tweak that. And it's like, ooh, sweet, everything's good. I'm taking off. We're good. Someone, as I was taking off, this other gentleman, I don't even know where his bike was. He walks up to me and says, "Hey, that's my fault. I actually caused that." And I'm like, I don't even see or know how you caused that or where your bike is or what. I just know that this gentleman behind me took me out. So I'm riding, and I look down because I'm thirsty, and I realize my water bottle is gone. I can't even take a drink or hydrate, which was kind of frustrating to me because there was no other aid stations. It was towards the end of the race. And so I was just like SOL to hydrate, and you want to hydrate really good before you start running. Luckily, like I said, the weather was just perfect. I wasn't hot or cold all day. It was just like dreamy. It was pretty windy on the bike after my little incident. It was pretty windy. That was kind of the only like weather bad permitting type stuff. So, I round the corner, go back in to see my family, which was great, on the bike just briefly. And I connect, see them, and I go back to the transition, drop my bike off, and just kind of like do my best to get my running shoes on, take my helmet off, get some sunscreen on, get some nutrition, just do whatever I can to get my running stuff going, and then you start running. I actually always feel really good running off the bike because I'm quite honestly sick of sitting down in a half Ironman. You're sitting down for 3 hours, 56 miles. And I see my family up, about a half mile up, and stop and talk with them, and it was good to see them. I just kind of explained to them that, I was in a little bit of a biking accident, but I got up and kept going, which is cool. And gave my wife a hug and a kiss, and my boy Wyatt was there in Brooklyn, and Jeff's family, so it's good to see them. My Uncle Ben actually came with his son Parker and his girlfriend Brooklyn also, so it's good to see them. So we continue on. I start running, and Jeff once again is only 5 or 10 minutes behind me, and last year he like totally bike ride. I felt good. First half of the run felt good. And I don't know if he felt that great. And then the last half of the run last year, he felt great, and he took off. So I knew that he was just going to catch me towards the end of the race because he was close, and I was okay with that. I didn't want to be super pushed. Like I said, I wasn't catching up with Ethan and Marshall and Noah. Wasn't going to race with them anyways. There's a few back and forths that you see each other on the run, which was kind of cool to see the other racers. Got to see Jaron, my father-in-law, and you see each other. So you run out, and you're gone. You're gone for 13 miles. And it's a pretty cool run course. Because of the bike course, you don't see many people on the bike course because you're out in Camp Pendleton. So on the run, you get to see people. It's spectator friendly. So that was pretty cool to see, the other triathletes, and there's a lot of people around, and the family and friends. So we're on the run, and I'm feeling pretty good. I actually hook up with a guy by the name of Wyatt Frost. He's from this Mesa area also, and we ran the whole time together. We hooked up just right out of the transition, not actually maybe a mile out of transition. We just stuck together, which is nice to have good conversation and talking with him the whole time. So we hung out and ran all together, and slowly but surely Jeff catches up with us and runs like the last 2 miles with us, which is really cool to have Jeff at the finish line again for the second year. I was gassed. No matter what, if you're doing a full Ironman or half Ironman, you are just gassed the last 4 or 5 miles. I mean, it's hard. I mean, it's physically and mentally, it's draining, but it's totally worth it. And it's something I would encourage everyone if they can to do a half Ironman. The way that you dig physically and mentally, there's no comparison, and it's amazing. So So we get to the finish line and see all the family, friends, and just everyone talks and gives a race recap and hangs out for about an hour. Go to the hotel and rested a little bit, and then had to go get the bike, and then met everyone up for dinner and talked a little bit more about the race and the events, and so that's my recap of how my day went, and my slowest half Ironman, which I'm okay with. I'm getting older. I used to be able to do them 2 hours faster than I am doing them now, and I'm okay with that. I just like being out there with the boys and doing a fun Ironman together. So appreciate you guys. I got to get back to work and sell some houses and make it a great day. It's going to be a great Monday. Have a great day. We'll see you.